Fierce, fearless, and far-traveling, the Vikings carved a path through history, from the icy fjords of Scandinavia to the shores of England, the rivers of Russia, and even the coasts of North America. But how did they survive these harsh journeys? Let's take a closer look at what the ancient Vikings carried with them. The Vikings were not just raiders. They were farmers, explorers, traders, and settlers. Whether sailing into battle or setting off to find new lands, survival was always on their minds. Every tool, every item had a purpose. Vikings rarely left home without weapons. These weren't just for combat. They were essential survival tools. Axe, their most iconic weapon, perfect for chopping wood, building shelters, or fighting. Sea axe, a small knife used for carving, skinning, and eating. Spear, lightweight and versatile for both hunting and war. Shield, wooden and round, used not only in combat, but as sleds, makeshift shelters, or stretchers. Survival in the cold north required layers. Vikings dressed smartly with materials that repelled water and retained heat. Woolen tunics and trousers for insulation, cloaks of sheepskin or fur fastened with brooches, leather boots often lined with fur, caps and gloves made from animal hides. These weren't just for show. They helped Vikings survive brutal winters and long sea voyages. Food preservation was key. On long journeys, fresh food wasn't an option. Dried fish and salted meat like lamb or pork were staples. Hard bread or flat cakes were also common. They carried grains and legumes for hearty stews. Ale or mead stored in wooden barrels was safer than untreated water. Dried berries and nuts provided essential nutrients. Cooking was done in iron pots or with flat stones near the fire. Vikings were legendary sailors. Without modern navigation, they used various tools and methods. Sunstones, crystals like Iceland's spar, detected the sun's position, even on cloudy days. They memorized landmarks and stars, recognizing coastal features and celestial patterns. Waterproof cloaks and tarred leather bags protected their gear. Buckets, paddles, and plugs were used to manage leaks on ships. They carried rope, nails, and spare sailcloth for emergency repairs. Vikings didn't just raid, they traded across Europe and Asia. Their survival kits often included beads and silver coins for barter, small tools like combs, tweezers and ear picks, Thor's hammer pendants for protection, needles and thread for clothing repairs, and rune stones or carved amulets with personal or magical inscriptions. On land, Vikings made camp with wool blankets and animal hides, tent frames and sails repurposed from ships, cooking tripods and pots, fire-starting kits with flint, iron and dried tinder fungus, and wooden bowls, spoons and drinking horns. They could set up quickly, whether raiding a coast or exploring a new land. Survival for the Vikings wasn't just about gear. It was a mindset. Endurance, skill and community kept them alive. Every item they carried, every piece of clothing they wore, every boat they built was about thriving in an unforgiving world. From Greenland to Baghdad, the Vikings made their mark on the world, and they did it with gear that was simple, effective, and perfectly adapted to their way of life. Their survival wasn't luck, it was skill, preparation, and an unbreakable spirit. Subscribe for more ancient survival stories, and don't forget to pack your axe.